When a user's coming into the crypto space for the first time, they're a little bit confused about where to go to buy an NFT, what DEX they should be using, what is a DEX even, and having a hub where you can go to so you can have all that information and be guided through that whole process, I think is kind of important and really useful. And Big Pay or Payton has been working on Atrium for the last year, where users can come into the Cardano ecosystem and start there and then discover all these different aspects of the ecosystem, whether it's a different DEX, a different marketplace, borrowing lending protocol, whatever it might be. Having it in one area really is a starting point for a lot of people. And then maybe they'll go off and use the protocol itself directly on their own front-end interface or wherever they like to use it, maybe within Eternal Wallet, for example. So they've got to have that little central place to start off and have a little bit of an idea of what's going on. And Atrium seems to be like a really good platform where you can go through and discover all these places, especially if you're brand new to the space. Now they're going through a testnet phase very, very soon, and we talk all about it in this interview, along with all the features that are coming out in Atrium. Really interesting one here for you guys. Like and subscribe on your way in. Let's get into it.
Yeah, gotta do it like that. You've been listening to the Learn Cardano podcast. Gotta get it hype. Crypto is what we like, but this is not investment or financial advice. Gotta do your research, cause it's risky. We know it is. This show is educational and it's informative. Crypto's the future, really, it ain't no debate.
So Pei, it's good to have you back on the podcast here, and you've been working pretty hard over the last year on this project. I saw glimpses of it, like I think it was earlier this year. You're posting out tweets and doing little screenshots, and I had absolutely no idea what you were doing until like more recently when these threads and screenshots and everything else started coming out. So you're building a thing called Atrium. Can you explain to everyone what on earth it is and what have you been spending the last year or so? I think, or maybe even longer, building.
Yeah, I can. And it's great to be here at 6:30 a.m. Long time no see. I think it's been a little over a year since we did our last podcast. I think it was for Rare Bloom Rare Bloom we were doing it for. So what Atrium is it's an application that aggregates the various financial services on the blockchain into one that teaches you how to use it. I've helped, thousands of new users come onto the Cardano blockchain. I've helped people at like, the local coffee shop that asked me about it, or my friends and my family. So I get to see the issues that they run into, the pain points that they run into. And the first thing that, one of the first pain points is the fact that they have to go to Eternal, and then I'm teaching them about a DEX, and then they have to go to the DEX. And then, what's an NFT? Well, here's what an NFT is. And, having to go to 7 or 8 different websites to see all of the different things on the Cardano blockchain, just from one service provider for a DEX and one service provider for JPEG, it's just too complicated. So what I believe people need for adoption, to onboard the next million users to Cardano is a very simple all-in-one interface with education built into it. And, the co-founder of my company, he's a great animator, and I've, been a Cardano educator for years. So him and I working together through his good animation and, my voice and, his knowledge on Cardano as well, we can make, short, snappy, animated videos that just educate people about exactly what Cardano is. And that's really the dashboard. That's the foundation for what Atrium will become. And, we're also really excited about the future of Cardano, and we're developing our own open source software that we're going to get into in a little bit, that we're going to, plug directly into Atrium, and they're new and innovative ideas that haven't really been, done before on Cardano.
Yeah, I love that approach. I love that idea, because like when people first get into crypto, they may hear about Coinbase or Binance or something like that, and they create an account, and that's pretty much the whole ecosystem. That's as far as a lot of people will go, and you have to tell people you can actually stake natively on Cardano, and then they start scratching their heads, and then they try and work it out. So having a platform where they can step out of those centralized exchanges and go to, such as Atrium, I think is a nice and really good idea, because it will then showcase them everything else that's available in one interface, in one glance. So now you said there are a couple of really interesting aspects around this. And the first one I'd like to bring up is that staking baskets. Now, I got to speak to a member of the Brisbane Cardano meetup, Angelo, and he gave me a really good overview. But I'd love to hear from you and why you decided to build this particular feature.
Yeah, certainly. I'm really excited about this feature. For years, I've been kind of talking about stake pools and stake pool parameters, and this is really what gave me that light bulb moment. When Cardano was released, there's a protocol parameter called A0. And what A0 does is it actually pays people 30% more for pledging 72 million ADA to a stake pool. And what that was designed to do is incentivize people to delegate towards Cardano's decentralization. Well, as many people, stake pool operators or people that are kind of in the know in Cardano, they realize that that's not what ended up happening. You can create as many pools as you want, gather as much delegation as you want, and pledge really isn't a limiting factor, even though it was designed to be. So, when I was thinking about how do we incentivize, people to delegate towards decentralization, because ultimately at the end of the day, I think, especially the next million users that are coming in, all they care about at first is money. They come in caring about money, and then they realize what it is and the impact that it can have on the world. And that's what gets them to stay, or they just make money and stay. So I thought, okay, how do we get these new users to actually delegate toward, Cardano's best future, a more decentralized future? We just have to pay them to do it. So then, we're designing the system that allows people to come in, they create a smart contract that can delegate to multiple different stake pools at the same time, and then reward users for a native token. Our first staking basket that we're releasing is called Diffusion. Diffusion delegates to 50 different single stake pool operators at the same time and rewards people with the Atrium DAO token for supporting Cardano's decentralization. And then, you Peter, could come in and you could create your own staking basket and you say, okay, there's not enough trees in the world, or, there's too much pollution, there's too much plastic in the ocean. And you can support stake pools that are all about, cleaning up plastic and planting trees. And you can reward people with a Cardano native token that's like one plastic piece from the ocean or one tree planted. So really we're building a way, to, productize staking and increase Cardano's decentralization over time with staking baskets.
That is really cool. So let me just clarify that. So there's alliances like the CNC, I think it's Carbon Neutral Cardano, and all these stake pools are their mission is to help reduce the carbon footprint of the globe, and in various initiatives, planting trees, et cetera, et cetera. So if they came along and created a staking basket smart contract and put in all their stake pools to it, and then people started delegating to it, is that it? They can actually create that basket themselves?
Exactly. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to be launching Diffusion first to show people how it works as we build the create your own framework. But the ability to create a basket in a smart contract is already completed. I'm using it on my computer, on the test net, it's working. And, essentially we just have to plug those buttons into the site, plug deposit and withdraw into the site. So we're very close. We obviously have to do an audit as well because funds will be held in there. But there's a lot of great pool alliances. There's the single pool alliance. And, for years, Charles has always, stated to people, SPOs would close down and everyone would go attack Charles and say, hey, SPOs are failing. What are you going to do about it, Charles? And Charles would mention, he would say, okay, you know what SPOs need to do? They need to come together. They need to join together. If a guy's good at marketing and a guy's good at business and this guy's, good at actually running the servers, these three people should come together, combine their efforts and build a larger, business or a larger group of pools to support all of each other equally. And that's what staking baskets allow you to do. You could actually create a staking DAO between three different people, and whoever stakes the most into it gets more of the DAO tokens from the basket rewards, and they can vote on the composition of the basket. They can say, okay, remove this pool, add this pool, and this is testnet data, so it could change moving forward once we release to mainnet. But we actually had 110 stake pools being delegated to at the same time in a staking basket. So Diffusion, we're starting out with 50. But, users with the Atrium token, they're going to be able to vote on the composition of this basket. They're going to be able to say, okay, add in one more guy, take this guy away. Oh, this guy retired his pool. We'll just take him out and add a new one in. So, the days of, these millions of ADA being delegated to retired pools, a portion of that could be solved with staking baskets because, there is a governance happening upon the staking basket. So if they see with somebody retires, well, if there's 50 pools in there, they're only losing 1/50th of the rewards first off, and then they remove that guy out of there from the voting, and then they just add a new one in. So there's a lot less of loss of rewards from a retired pool.
That is cool. It does fix that problem. It's always been a problem within the ecosystem. And I really hope this does help a lot of the smaller stake pool operators if they band together and create these various baskets. Now, I want to try and understand how the mechanism of that works. We're probably getting a little bit too technical here. But if I was a user and I saw this staked basket and I delegated 1,000 ADA to it, how does that 1,000 ADA gets distributed across all those different stake pools, like in the diffusion one, for example?
So that's a great question. And, no problem on the technical questions. I've sat in dev calls multiple times a week for a year now, so I'm pretty keen on this stuff, and I like talking about it. So from a user perspective, essentially what happens is, let's say you have 1,000 ADA. And, this isn't meant to replace staking. This is another way to stake on Cardano. And that's what I think is so cool about it, is it's like a new idea for staking, but it's not meant to replace the old thing. So let's say you have 10,000 ADA. It's your first time ever seeing a staking basket. Take 1,000 of your ADA, or even 500, whatever you're comfortable with. You deposit it into the basket. And each basket can actually have a different configuration. And that will be shown, before you actually do the deposit on the screen. Diffusion, it's going to be equally split up amongst all of the different stake pools, unless one is close to saturation. That's the only if. If one's close to saturation, we're going to take a little bit away from them and give it to some guy at the bottom. But, user deposits 500 ADA, 1,000 ADA. What they're going to get in return is diffusion tokens. And what happens on that deposit is the smart contract itself creates a datum. And a datum is just data that lives in a transaction. So when that data is created, the smart contract is counting all of the basket tokens that are out there, and all of the ADA that has been deposited, so that no user can come in and pull more ADA out than they can. And there's actually an exchange rate from diffusion token to ADA. And that datum in the smart contract actually keeps that exchange rate up to date with no admin input. I can't get in there and change the exchange rate or take money out of the contract. In the first contract that we ever designed, it was an admin operated exchange rate. And I was like, no, this must be fixed. Admins can have no input on this basket other than staking UTXOs. And, we fixed that. We've added the update. So now there's no way to, ever pull any ADA out. There's no way to actually change the exchange rate. User deposits this in, delegates to 50 different stake pools. They have these diffusion tokens that are in their wallet. These tokens are liquid. You could send them to another wallet. You could withdraw it from the other wallet with those tokens. You could swap them on a DEX because that there's, ADA in a contract sitting there somewhere. And then another new user that comes in and creates their own staking basket, they can say, okay, this staking basket, we're going to put 50% of the ADA in the first 3 pools, and then the last 50% in the bottom 10 pools. So really the composition can change basket to basket. And we do have a catalyst proposal in, and we hope we win. I think the rewards actually come out in 3 hours. Last year, we asked for about $375,000 and we weren't funded. But this year, we're so much further ahead. I instead of, just giving up and saying the idea is a dud, I spent the last year, spending all of my time and, a lot of my money and a lot of my, co-founders' time and, our developers' time, just working for free, developing this thing to ship it because we think it will actually be valuable and good for Cardano. So we think, we hope Catalyst does this round. We're really hoping for funding. We reached out to kind of like our friends and family, was like, please vote for us. And it will definitely speed up things. But no matter what, we're going to be launching this product to Cardano within the next, 6 months. So.
All right. I'm really looking forward to the staking baskets and seeing how that all works, and getting my hands on and perhaps creating my own set of baskets and getting people to delegate to it or stake to it.
Yeah, now, we're really excited to see what the community kind of comes up with. We've had a few good ideas like staking DAOs and diffusion, but once thousands of people start playing around with it, they're going to have such good ideas that I hadn't even thought of with. So I'm really excited about it too.
Now, this other feature that you've got, I think is really interesting. And this is the UAN, or User Access NFT. Now, I only had a bit of a glimpse into this one here to get a better understanding of it. Can you explain exactly what this one is and how the mechanics of it works?
Yeah. So what it is, it's actually a user account NFT. And, when I was thinking about, we wanted to build essentially a blockchain focused social media into Atrium. We mentioned we have the dashboard, and then within the dashboard, the dashboard allows you to send and receive, look at all of your assets, look at your tokens. And then the dashboard is where all of the aggregation is going to live too. The DEX aggregator, the lending aggregator, all of the different, applications. These applications are actually going to live in project account NFTs, but we'll get to that in a second. So user account NFTs are these NFTs that you can mint through Atrium. And when you mint them, you actually store customization options in the datums. And then you're going to get your own web page on atrium.io. So, we'll make one called, Peter. You go to atrium.io/Peter. You've already minted your NFT. You've customized your background. You've customized your profile picture. You've told us what you like most about Cardano. You say you're a big swapping guy, so it'll show some of your recent swapping. Let's say you're kind of more of a private guy. Even though someone can investigate your wallet, maybe some of the swapping stuff's hidden, or some of your token balances are hidden, and you're showing your NFTs at the forefront, or you're showing, your liquid finance portfolio at the forefront. So it's really, a customizable web page that lives in Atrium that people can follow, that people can message, that people can connect with. And all of that data that's on that customization page actually lives in an NFT and lives in the datums of the NFT, and all of it's actually minted by a smart contract. Traditional, a lot of these, NFTs that I've used in the past, you're using an email service to mint them, or it's a centralized company that's minting them, and you have to trust that no double mint's going to happen. So when we started building this a year ago in October, that was my first thought is, how do we build a, Cardano-focused social media that makes sense, that's useful for people, and how do we have it all live in these user account NFTs that are minted entirely by a smart contract, and all of that data, actually lives on chain. These user account NFTs can actually level up over time too. There's going to be customization options that you can earn, NFTs from, partner projects that you can earn, all just for having the user account NFT. And we're going to do, seasons, to where season 1, if you hit level 100, you get all of them. And then 6 months later, season 2 comes and you're going to get even more, customization options and rewards. And then that leads us to project account NFTs. We're talking about all of this aggregation. And of course, we're going to have little buttons for, DEX aggregator. It has all 7 DEXs in one page. But let's say you just want to swap on Sunday Swap or MinSwap. To do that, you're going to go to MinSwap's project account NFT. Each project is going to have their own project NFT that they can actually write the code of the front end and the back end connection, so that when you go to MinSwap's project account NFT, you can click follow. You can see what they've been doing. It'll have an aggregation of their Medium, their Twitter, maybe some of their Discord messages in there. And then there'll be another tile that's just swap on MinSwap. If you go to Indigo's page, there's going to be a little tile that says, I'm going to mint some synthetic Bitcoin, straight from, Indigo's page. So that's really our goal with, project account NFTs, building actual real and utility into them, having project-based incentive where a project can say, oh, hey, if you, like us on Twitter, or you join our, Twitter space, we're going to reward you with an NFT, or we're going to reward you with 5 of our tokens. So from the project side, that's what we're looking at. We're looking at utility, objectives for users, and then a way to kind of keep people up to date. And, projects are going to be able to build a following, to that project account NFT. And then for users are going to be able to customize, they're going to be able to level up and earn new rewards. They're going to be able to engage with projects and earn those project objective rewards. And that's the foundation. And, this is the foundation that's going to be, the MVP is probably going to be user account NFTs with some project account NFTs. And then after that, we're going to integrate the project utility and then project objectives. And then we're going full social media features, after that. So yeah, I'm pretty excited about those. And here's some great news. I actually minted some about 5 days ago. I actually had user account NFTs in my wallet. The contract is completely done. Of course, we may find a couple more features that we want. We might shoehorn in there at the end. But I actually minted one of these on the Cardano testnet, had it in my wallet. So really excited about it.
Very cool. Very exciting indeed. Now, I've got two questions that comes out of this. So the first one is around the metadata and the information that's in those user account NFTs. Because it's all on chain, other people can see what that data is. And if I made another application, I could potentially use those user account NFTs on my application as well. Is that correct?
Exactly. And, eventually where we're going to get to is there's going to be data that users don't want to share. And in those datums, you can essentially store hashes. So in a world where there's information that you don't want to be shared, that's not like wallet information, let's say it's messaging information, we can have encrypted hashes that live in the datums of that actual data that can't be accessed without a certain encryption key for that user. But yeah, we would like a world where you can use your user account NFT to connect to another website. And it's the same way that ADA Handle can do it. We are actually building ADA Handle features into Atrium. We can look at user account NFTs as kind of a competing product, but at the same time, we're trying to build an application that brings everybody together. So we're not really trying to look at people as competitors. With ADA Handles, you're going to be able to use some of these social media features on Atrium without a user account NFT, but there are also going to be some features that are tied to those datums and tied to the other things associated with them. And, we'd love to work with them to kind of, make some of those features kind of a bit more apparent, because they've released a lot of updates too recently. So.
Okay. It's so I built a plugin called Cardano Press. You may not know of it, but it integrates in the Wallet Connect and a whole bunch of features into WordPress powered websites. So, a couple of million websites in the world, couple of 40, 50 million websites. And having that ability to pull in that data from the NFTs, the user account NFTs, and also the ADA handles, is essentially being able to build those user profiles on any WordPress website, connect it, see that in the wallet, data gets populated, bang, there you go. You've got user accounts across all these really cool websites. So I would love to get my hands on the metadata and the structure of how you put that in so that I can integrate that in. And I think that's going to be a really big and really cool feature to have like Atrium pull data and customize it on other websites as well. So you can see whatever you're storing and doing in there on any WordPress powered website as well. So that would be really cool.
Yeah, I like that idea. And we're already kind of, discussing it. We're going to have to build APIs for people, a way that you can just easily just, call it in and there it is. We're going to have a bunch of different APIs for a bunch of different data points. And, there definitely are good API providers on Cardano, but, for some of the more niche data points, it's severely lacking. And we hope that, if we get Catalyst funds and, we keep pushing towards the future, that we'll start to kind of build some of those API endpoints so people can use Atrium. If we're an aggregator of everything and we're already creating all this data for ourselves, we'd love to share it with everybody else at the same time. So.
All right. Now, my other question from what you were talking about earlier was with the project-based NFTs and their dashboards where you can do swaps. With that, a lot of the other applications, such as Eternal, they'll take a fee within for swapping on MinSwap within their wallet or something. Will you guys be taking a fee in that process as well? And leading on from that, how are you guys making money and revenue to keep this all up and running?
So we're actually trying to build a DAO within Atrium. The main goal of Atrium is to really build an alternative front-end interface, because right now, we're interacting with all of these decentralized protocols, but we're using a centralized front-end interface to interact with, Sunday Swap and MinSwap. And it's by the company that wrote the decentralized code in the first place. So the next, obvious direction is to have alternative front ends for people. And we know that it's impossible to, build and ship a decentralized front end at this point. But having that be one of our ultimate goals, while taking that open source code that we release and, building centralized versions of that, like a centralized wallet, of all of those features is, what we're aiming for. But we would like to build a decentralized front end interface ultimately. And, we're not going to, take a fee from, swapping or, minting synthetic assets. And, in the case that we do, that fee is going to go back to the DAO or the token holders in some way. And, this is, all with, there's not like 100% certainty in my statements here, because we have to, get legal advice and then get legal advice again and then get legal advice again before we release certain features like this. And I have, already talked to them about all of these features, but, I'm going to talk to him again and talk to him again. So a couple things may change, but that really is our goal, is we're trying to bring value to projects by giving them a way to, keep their community more engaged. And, we're trying to, do a lot for users as well. So.
Gotcha. Okay. The full decentralization of a decentralized exchange, essentially. So it's beautiful that you're taking that approach, and everyone will be able to do swaps and everything else from the interface. So I absolutely love it. Is there anything else that we'll need to know about this? Well, I think I've covered quite a few of the key features of Atrium. Is there anything else that I'm missing? Besides the fact that you're going to be the Facebook on Cardano. But yeah, anything else?
I'll drop some alpha for you. I don't really think it's something that like someone else is just going to do. And I haven't really talked about it before. But, with this social media and, with the Atrium token, you're going to be used to, vote on, basket parameters. You're going to be able to vote on, who gets funding from, the DAO. But another thing you're going to be able to do with it is we're actually, this is like far out. This isn't like, everything I mentioned. That is one thing I want to get into after this, is where we're at now, when we're releasing, when is beta, when is mainnet. So we'll get into that right after this. But after all of that, we're going to be actually releasing a decentralized ad staking model into Atrium, to where we're going to have these lists that you can take the Atrium token to, and you can say, okay, there's 15 dexes on Cardano. I love MinSwap. So you stake your token to MinSwap, and it'll push them higher in this decentralized ad staking rating on the list. And then there'll be like, a couple like non-intrusive, like little boxes sometimes on certain pages that will show a protocol. And it'll essentially be like a lottery system. If MinSwap has, 10 million and SundaySwap has 1 million, 9 times out of 10, MinSwap's going to be shown in that little box. So it's going to be ways for users and projects to compete with each other using the Atrium token staking to kind of get more, ad space on this site. And with staking baskets and the accessibility and the aggregation of everything and the user account NFTs, I truly believe Atrium is going to have a large amount of users a year from now. And, a lot of new protocols that are coming to Cardano are going to want, visibility. They're going to want community, and they're going to want engagement. And when you can just link your project profile page in that little box, and then someone clicks it, they see your objectives. They see, they're up to date now that they viewed that page. I think people are excited. And what I didn't want to do is just release the same, protocol staking thing where it's just a contract. You take the token, you put it in the contract, and then you get more tokens. I was sick of that like boring, everybody's done it model. So I was like, how do we make this cool and exciting that actually kind of fits it? I'm like, oh, decentralized ad staking model, But to be quite honest, like we haven't even written one line of code for that. So it's a year out, but it's something I'm real excited about.
Well, hopefully you can deliver on that one as well. I think it's a really cool idea. It's innovative, and I think a lot of projects do want attention and space. So it's probably something that they will jump on, especially if Atrium becomes like a major hub, and we do see all these new users on there, hopefully in next year's bull run, next year or the year after, and come on board and, eyeballs. That's all what people want. Now, you also mentioned you're on testnet at the moment. Launch is coming really soon. We're going to see it before NFTxLV maybe in a week's time.
So we're going to be launching it at NFTxLV. And what we're going to be launching is actually our alpha. Yeah, really excited. We've got a booth there. We've got some pretty lights behind us. We're going to have a screen where you can actually try it out yourself and click around. Yeah. And, what we're launching there is our dashboard. Our dashboard has, some wallet features. It shows you all of your assets and all of your data. It has the actual staking basket page built out, the whole page built out for diffusion with a deposit button and a withdrawal button and like a, earn rewards button. They just don't work yet. And then right after we launch our alpha, we're going to have 25 test users that I've already prepared come in. They're going to test it, and then we're going to add in 25 more users for the alpha. They're going to test it. Once they're good to go, we're going to release the next version of Atrium. This could be a couple weeks. It could be a month after. The next version of Atrium is going to have staking baskets built directly into it on the testnet. And what I'm doing is I've been gathering 50 different stake pool operators to build, the exact version of diffusion on the test net so we can have a real testing environment to test diffusion. And what we're actually going to do, I stole this from Charles, we're going to do an incentivized test net. So you can get on there, you can use a staking basket for the first time, and you can earn Atrium tokens. If you're an SPO and you're running a pool on the incentivized testnet, you're going to earn some Atrium tokens too. So it's a great way for people to kind of get in there and see what Atrium is, learn about the idea of staking baskets, give us some feedback, squash some bugs so it leads to a better product when we launch. But we're really excited. And then, right after staking baskets, it's going to go closed beta, which is going to be like 75 or 100 people. And then we're just going to open it up, and then anybody can kind of come in and start testing it. And then once it's open for probably, a month, what we'll do is we'll launch, mainnet staking baskets, and it's just going to launch with diffusion. And then, X amount of time after we launch diffusion, we're going to launch with create your own basket. And, all of our releases, it's going to follow that same cycle of, okay, we have mainnet up with staking baskets. Well, on our testnet version, user account NFT button just showed up where you can mint them now. Okay, create your own basket button just showed up on the testnet. And then we'll do testing on the testnet for a month while the mainnet version's still live. And then we'll just, port these over after we fix some of the bugs. So
totally makes sense. And it sounds like roughly maybe January, February next year, based on those months and the milestones that you're trying to hit.
Yeah, I would say that's fair. Maybe if we get our catalyst funds and have some fire under our butts, maybe we could say December, but don't want to make, I would like December, 2023, but, development takes time. And I know my devs are probably saying, did he really just say December?
Well, we'll see how that goes. But, there's always the final hurdle of smart contracts, and that's the auditing and everything about it. And I forgot to ask you this as well. What language is it written in? Did you pick up like one of these new fancy ones, these new DSLs out there, or is it in pure Plutus?
So, when we started this, when I had the staking basket idea, I told my team, I said, don't worry, guys, I'm going to learn Plutus and I'll write this shit in the next couple of months. And I was so wrong. We brought on M Labs, and they wrote staking baskets in Plutarch. And then we brought on Compact, which is another development firm, and that's for user account NFTs, and they're writing them in Aiken. So
right,
no, cool. Just sold Plutus.
All right, nice. Okay, that's a good approach. Plutarch, absolutely love what I've learned from that one. Really optimize. And Aiken, everyone's writing in Aiken these days, and the optimizations around that is absolutely marvelous. What about the auditing of these smart contracts? Has that been sorted out yet? Do you have an auditor for it or anything lined up?
Yeah, so we're actually getting an audit through Anastasia Labs for the staking basket contract. I know those guys over there very well, and for the user account NFTs, because no funds are actually held in the contract, it's solely, minting, we're going to do extensive testing for it on the test net. And we're also just going to open source it, and we'll open source it before we launch it on mainnet. So everybody's going to be able to get in there, look at the code. I think it's exciting. It's new. It's innovative. And because we're open sourcing it, anybody can create their own version of this on their website, or they can just integrate ours, or they can do both. And, I think that is the way, if there are any bugs or any problems, that they're going to be found other than our extensive testing framework.
All right. Brilliant. Well, I'm looking forward to this. I'll put the links and everything to the Twitter account, Discord, and your Medium in the show notes. I haven't joined the Discord yet, but I will right after this, and I highly encourage anyone else that's interested in the project to join Discord as well. But Peyton, awesome speaking to you again, and congratulations on getting this far, and good luck with the final hurdle, the final milestone to launch.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for having me on. I would love to come back once we're kind of gearing up for mainnet, once we have a date there. And it's always a blast. It's, doing these podcasts with you, it's very easy. It's very flowy. And I can see why people love coming on. It's just, you kind of feel like you're talking to a buddy, So
thank you so much. It means a lot to me. Awesome. Yeah. Thank you. Now, if you want to learn a little bit more, all the links down below, link to the Discord and everything else around it so you can discover and learn exactly about what the platform's trying to build. They also have their testnet like we talked about, and you'll be able to jump in there and give that a go. If you're an SPO, check out that diffusion basket. It might be worthwhile being a part of that ecosystem, especially if you're a small stake pool operator. Having your stake pool on there could be really advantageous to you, so you can gain that extra delegation. Might be a really cool thing to look into. Now, none of this content is sponsored or paid for, so really appreciate it if you just give me that thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, notification button on your way out, and I'll see you in the next video.
Yeah, gotta do it like that. You've been listening to the Learn Cardano podcast. Gotta get it hype. Crypto is what we like, but this is not investment or financial advice. Gotta do your research, cause it's risky. We know it is. This show is educational and it's informative. Crypto's the future, really, it ain't no debating.